inspired a little bit about your grandfather. I'm kind of curious how when you read something on the page and you have that extra information that can kind of, I don't want to say spice it up a little bit, but kind of give it added depth and layers to it. How do you kind of combine all that?
That is good. That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I think I felt a good amount of freedom to bring myself to this. I mean, it's George's, grandfather, and these are real people, but we're not impersonating anybody. I'm not. I didn't have any material to really work off of to impersonate him, so I was able to bring a lot with the material that I had, because I had so much. We had I want to say it was hundreds of pages of letters and music and transcribed oral histories, things like that, to work off of, which gave me a good understanding of the person. But then I was able to kind of add things that were mine or me or reminded me of my family, or things like that. And I think I knew or felt comfortable with that going into it, to have the freedom to explore the material and explore Adi and myself within the scenes.
As you mentioned, it was sort of, your character is the farthest separated from the rest of the family, and you said it was a little isolating. But I'm very curious, how did you kind of maintain in your head the connection that this character had, that you may have not been able to experience in scenes with your fellow cast members? Does that come from knowing them, off the job, I guess, and being able to build that camaraderie together?
Definitely. I mean, I think that the essential ingredient for any project that, at least I'm working on, is time given to the material and the work. And I think everybody in this cast and crew gave themselves completely to this project. But we had time, and there were months before we started filming, and credit where credit's due. As an actor, you want to be taken through a process and a journey, and that doesn't always happen. But sometimes you're lucky enough to work with a filmmaker who does take you on a journey and guides you through this process. And Tommy Kail, who set the foundation for the show by directing the pilot and the last episode. I think as long as we gave our time to the material and to his process, which he I think brought us together as a family and as individuals, made us connect and become friends, and kind of establish those relationships and the family dynamic that was necessary to then go explore the rest of the episodes and the situations that they'd be in. So I felt a genuine connection to the family and the friends and the home and everything that Adi was missing. But credit's due. It's Tommy's. It's what he gave us in terms of being a generous, thoughtful filmmaker. He gave us several weeks before we started filming to spend every day together, in which we gave ourselves by not only showing up for our rehearsals and dinners, but we would willingly, and all of us wanted to be together for breakfast and lunch in between and go socialize on our time off. And it was Tommy who really brought us together and established those relationships.
Excuse me. And before we go to our last clip, I wanted a question for both of you. But the dialect, picking up a Polish accent, I'm very curious, like what the process was. If it was tricky, if it, like being able all of you doing it at once, is that kind of also assisting you in that process?
Yeah, it was like, it was great. It was hard, but I love doing accent work, and it was something I'd never done before. I'd never done a Polish accent. So when they were like, "You gonna do a Polish accent?" I was like, "Okay." Okay. Hopefully I'm okay at it. But I had a great time doing it and like starting that process. We had a great dialect coach, and then we had many, a couple different ones on set with us that would always it was nice to know someone was watching the monitor, because, when you get lost in a moment, you're not thinking, like sometimes you kind of like lose your way a little bit, and then like it's helpful to have someone come up and be like, open your mouth more when you say that line. I'm like, oh shoot, okay, yes, of course. But it was really nice. It was really, I think honestly, as an actor, I do feel like an accent is so helpful in really dropping you into the moment, because it is just an extra layer of something that is not you. And I find that to be so great. I love anything that helps, anything that really takes something of myself away from myself is helpful. And I find it to be exciting as someone who really loves to perform, I guess.
It was really challenging too, just to think about the fact that this family is made up of Americans, Brits, Israelis, and we had to show up and hope that we can find a middle ground.
Yeah.
And sound like a family. And that's why the rehearsal period was really nice, because we can kind of find.
Sometimes we do dialect lessons together as
Yeah.
well. Like some of us that were from like
listen.
different countries,
Mhm.
and it'd be like, how are you saying that? Because
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm on the same page as
There's
you.
an interesting physical element you don't really think about, I guess.
Yeah.
That just the actual way you open and move your mouth.
My North Star through that was just thinking about Leor, who plays our father, and just thinking, okay, I just need to hear what he sounds like and try to get somewhere close to him. So I'd constantly just focus on his dialect, in which he did not really do a Polish dialect. He's like, this is how I talk. Sounds right. And it was great. And he's a wonderful actor. But yeah, it was challenging. I mean, I also had to sing in the dialect, which was hard.
Slay.
It's funny to have to sing in a Polish dialect and not sound like you're doing the Dracula thing. It sounds really silly.
1, 2,
And
3.
then you're hoping that it works at the end.
It worked. You did great. You sounded great.
Thank you.
You sounded great.
But yeah, no, it's fun to do dialect stuff.
Oh, can I hear you sing?
Right now? In the dialect?
Well, she said you sung.
Okay, well.
You might just have to watch.
Yeah, maybe watch it.
Watch
Watch the episode. I'm not a good singer.
Well, let's go to the last clip, which is from the pilot, and it's a scene featuring the two of you together.